We are back, we're back, we're back. You are listening to Soul Perspectives here on CKUT 90.3 FM. My name is Kim Dominique Ferguson, and I am in studios with Vanesa Montoya, who has been doing quite a bit. She's a dancer and choreographer here in Montreal. First black woman to be nominated and elected and put into the position of lead dancer. Correct?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, lead dancer at Les Grands Ballets Canadiens. And she was telling us a little bit about some projects that she had been doing before the break. And we're going to continue because you had participated in a festival.
Yes, that's right.
What's that festival?
Well, it's the Festival des Arts de Saint-Sauveur, and it's not the first time that I participate in the festival. They invited me a few other times. It's a summer festival that happens every year, and they invite a lot of international companies, local artists as well, and musicians. And it's very cool. I always have really good experience participating, choreographing and dancing and performing. And I love like all the artists that they bring. So unfortunately this year it had to be canceled because of COVID.
Right.
But the festival decided to come up with a digital edition of it. And they will call it Shared Solitude and Solitude Partagée.
Yeah.
And the idea was to get a collaboration with the Orchestre Métropolitain.
Okay.
And have 10 choreographers and 10 composers from the orchestra to team together and create a piece, musical composition and choreography. And then the festival will also make dance films out of kind of small documentaries about every single creation. And all of
okay.
Yeah, and all those pieces are available online for free for any viewer that is interested. You can see at the festival's page, festivaldesarts.ca.
Okay.
And it's been great initiative because it came at a time where everyone was very in distress and kind of depressed because I find people in Quebec and Montreal in general, they love to go out and see performances, to watch ballets or watch theater, to enjoy concerts, and it just everything shut down to the point that people didn't see much other than Netflix, and they were getting sick of it, and they were missing out. So it was not just for the artists that it was quite excruciating, it was also for the audience. So I find that this project has been super well received by the audience. Everyone is enjoying the films. Each weekend, each Sunday, a new film comes out.
Okay.
So today there was a new film, and it's very nice because all the artists that are featured there, like very different backgrounds, also different diversity culturally, and I think it's also different styles of dance, which is very interesting. And pairing that with classical music, and also the scenery is in nature. All these films are taking place in the middle of the mountain, the forest, the river is quite something.
Wow.
So
when you say it's a dance film, so we're talking about the documentary aspect of it.
Well,
or is the dance as well a film?
The dance is a film.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like a small introduction for every film, which is a small documentary where you can get to know the composer, the choreographer, and pretty much like what is the mission of the festival. And then you can have an insight on the process of creation, how the piece came together and how the artists involved, they make it, and what is the inspiration, how the rehearsals went, and at the end, the product is the film, which is a equal collaboration in between the dancer, the performer of the choreography, and the musician.
Right.
And they're very beautiful.
So, how did you end up getting involved with them, and what was tell us a bit about your choreography.
Well, my choreography, I was paired with the composer Francois Hugh Leclerc, and he composed a piece for English horn, which is this kind of like
English horror?
This horn.
Corn.
Like, horn. Like a horror.
Oh, English horn. Okay. Thought you meant like horror, like a horror movie.
So it's kind of, I understood it's not a very common instrument that you will use to play a long score, because it's quite demanding for the musician to play. They need to breathe. Yeah, they need to take breaks quite often because it's hard.
Yeah.
But the sound of it is quite interesting, and it really reminds me like a bird sound. So that was our inspiration. He created this piece with the image of a hawk, the flight of a hawk, and he kind of like created a lot of poses in between, and tension and silence.
Yeah.
And my image or inspiration for the piece was of a bird that is normally is a strong bird, is a predator, but is hurt. So he's grounded, and he's kind of in distress and out of his habitat.
He's about to become a prey.
Well, he's still fighting to kind of like find his way back up in the sky.
Right.
So for me, this is kind of the feeling that I had during this pandemic and during the lockdown with the arts. Is like we are hurting, but we're gonna find a way back up. You know, right?
Yeah. So great. That kind of leads me to another question. Like, you've been able to do the arts while in lockdown because it's an alternative way of living and of communicating with people. How would you say? Why would you say that art is thriving now, whereas like other mediums business are still closed, stuff like that?
Well, I think people realize now that art is not just entertainment. Art is expression, is a human necessity of expression. And this is the way I feel. I think art is something universal. It's like a language that everyone can understand, or they can participate, whether it's like enjoying the art, producing the art. It's a conversation in between the artist and the audience, and I think everyone, to a certain extent, they're artists because they have their own creativity and their own ideas, their own way to express things.
Yeah.
And there's art hidden in anything, in any aspect of life. It's not just in dance or paint or like in music. There's art in mathematics, in like science, there's art in everything. So I think when you erase that from your life completely, you realize something is missing.
Yeah.
And also you realize it's more empowering tool, or a stronger tool than you thought, because art can be inspiring, art can bring people together, art can explain things that words cannot.
Yeah.
Art can also tap into humanity and build those human connections and just go back to the basics, like basically speaking. So
yeah,
I think maybe that's why arts are taking some sort of let's say spotlight.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say it's not how you say, it's not an essential job. Well, I mean, you could say maybe for some people it's not essential, but for other people it is.
I think for everyone it is. I mean, if you think about like places or groups of people that used to that either they had their children's programs removed, so anything extracurricular, dance, theater, etc. Yeah, all removed, and yet still in life, everything that we need is artistic, just like you said. So everything we do is artistic. So we need somebody to create something.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that lockdown, everyone at home, if you were not able to watch any film or like watch any program or like hear any music, if you couldn't make any music, if you couldn't like create anything to,
or you couldn't like get a recipe from a book to cook something.
Exactly, the cooking art,
or wear clothes,
like, design, yes, exactly. I don't buy it. Sorry,
yeah.
I don't buy that kind of world. I don't see it.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah, I think. I mean, every person has a different perspective of reality and what is important to them or not. But I think deep down, art is innate for every human. It's just you know, even if it's a bad rhythm, everyone has a sense of rhythm.
Yeah.
Everyone at some point sings in the shower.
Yeah.
And you want to dance, you want to groove, you want to like paint, you want to write things down. I don't know.
But also to what I was saying earlier, when you remove artist programs from people, especially when it comes to children, there's a loss there. But when you add the artist programs, it's almost as if their minds are stimulated.
Yes.
And they become even more in tune to be able to absorb other subjects like sciences and things that some people would find boring. And like, art is life. Like, I feel like art is life. Like, how can you live without art? And why is art
I mean, because
so
you cannot
underrated?
live without culture.
Yeah.
If you lose your culture, you lose big part of your identity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's necessary. Is part of art. Is part of culture. Is culture.
Yeah.
You cannot, like, I find the art tends to represent every historical time and events. Some things that cannot really be expressed, with words.
Yeah.
Normally, artists tend to really reflect those moments, you know. So I just, I wouldn't mind a world without artistic expression. It's just not complete.
Yeah. Listen, we do have to take a little break. We are speaking to Vanesa Montoya, and you are listening to Soul Perspectives here on CKUT 90.3 FM. We'll be right back.